Live from the Stream Center, this is WFLA News Now at 11.
Welcome in this Wednesday. All eyes are on Erin, and the 11 a.m. update just came in. Look at the size of that hurricane. I'm Stacy Scheibel.
And I'm Stacy DeSilva. Man, we really lucked out with this one. That monster of a storm just eking out away from us. Yeah.
All right, we're going to check in right now with Juliana Mejia.
Yeah, I'm taking the latest look at what the National Hurricane Center has released here at the 11 a.m. cone. Erin having strengthened a little bit, which isn't a surprise. Fluctuations as these storms go through re-intensification cycles was in this case more or less anticipated through the last forecast. They had kind of maintained Cat 2 status, but now we're at this upper echelon of Cat 2 status, and the newest cone calling for potentially re-intensification here into Category 3 major hurricane status through the next more or less 24 hours. And the tropical storm advisories still remain essentially the same. Bermuda included in those tropical storm watches. So here's a look at those watches warnings. The warnings issued, I believe that's from Cape Lookout, North Carolina through Duck, North Carolina, as well as storm surge warnings still issued strictly for the Outer Banks of North Carolina. But of course, the inundation being something that the entire area is monitoring. Coastal erosion, high surf, rip currents, all of those factors and forecast elements are still and going to be an issue for much of the East Coast throughout the rest of today into tomorrow and really through the end of this week. But to get a check-in as well with the rest of the Atlantic Basin, we are still monitoring 2 additional tropical waves. I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail later on because I do want to check in with a live look. Of course, we are in a way benefiting from Erin here locally because dry air is getting wrapped around that large circulation. So that's keeping our forecast largely dry today. Only a 20% chance of a few showers and maybe some storms, but that also then just crank up the heat. So I'll talk about the near record heat, talk about our local forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Juliana. Now your must-see now stories. And if you've noticed your TECO bill going up, you're not imagining things. TECO did raise rates in March to cover hurricane damage. Right now, TECO is showing Hillsborough County commissioners what they're planning to do with that money. The VP of TECO says they're focusing on 3 things: strengthening infrastructure, underlying power lines, and managing trees and vegetation, all in anticipation of more hurricane activity. Within the last hour, TECO told commissioners 90% of their poles have been changed from wood to either steel or concrete, and they've had a 27% decrease in power outages this summer. This is actually going to be our Comment Now story because we're all seeing these higher electric bills. It's really the talk out there, and you're not imagining in that. So if you have thoughts on what you're paying for power, go to WFLA.com/comment.
Yeah, and to give you a little teaser, it sounds like there's a couple reasons for this increase in your electric bill. So more on that in a couple minutes. But now, caught on camera, a man accused of trying to get away from Hillsborough County Sheriff's deputies in a stolen car. Newly released helicopter video shows the police pursuit happening over on Ashburn Pond Way Saturday just before midnight. Deputies say Obadiah Atkins took off, abandoning the car, and attempted to run away. You can see him sitting against the wall of the building as deputies and their canines catch and arrest him. He now faces multiple charges, including driving without a valid license and grand theft auto. Can't outrun him. You just can't.
You can't. And you really can't outrun the helicopter and the infrared cameras. So there you go.
Yeah.
We now know what caused a very serious gas explosion in Wilmington, North Carolina. Right there.
Yeah.
A 46-year-old driver hit the Eastern Carolina Veterinary Building yesterday, a new building on top of it. That ruptured a gas line and led to that giant explosion. 1 person seriously injured. 4 firefighters were hurt. The driver, who you just saw there, Jason Lee Beach, now charged with DUI, felony with serious injury, possession of drug paraphernalia, hit and run, and reckless driving. He's in a lot of trouble.
And, 1 person seriously injured is too many. But think about what could have happened there. Look at that damage.
Right.
Amazing that no lives were lost.
Right.
The city of Tampa is meeting with business owners this afternoon to discuss a possible noise ordinance. They say they're open to reevaluating rules in hotspots like South Howard, Ybor City, and Channelside. Residents have complained about loud music and car exhaust. Back in 2022, the city approved, then repealed a noise ordinance. Today's virtual meeting runs from 2 to 3 if you want to weigh in.
We're talking noise in a lot of places, not just Tampa. You're talking about it on a lake. Where was that, Winter Haven?
It was in Winter Haven, Lake Winterset. Interestingly, in Polk County, boats and lakes were left out of the noise ordinance.
Oh.
And now we have all this partying and a spot on Lake Winterset, and they're trying to change that, add boats back into the noise ordinance.
Yeah, we'll stay on top of that. And today is move-in day for students at the University, of Tampa. Yeah, that's a big day for college students. At UTampa, more than 5,000 students are expected to move in over the weekend. So if you're driving through that area, which is very close to downtown Tampa, expect a lot of extra foot traffic. Move with caution. Move-in day. It's always a sweaty mess, isn't it? Especially in Tampa.
I didn't go to college in Florida, but yeah, I imagine it's a sweaty mess here. on
Good
moving day.
luck
It's so
and Godspeed
exciting
to all the parents.
All right, now to our Comment Now story that we already talked about a little bit. As we reach these hot days, Americans are facing sticker shock over the cost of keeping cool. Electricity prices have climbed twice as fast as the overall cost of living in the last year. That's according to a recent Consumer Price Index report. In fact, the soaring costs have outpaced grocery prices, which have seen a sharp increase.
And joining us now is Dr. Abby Hall. She is an associate professor of economics at UTampa. She's already moved in, not leaving. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. It's not our imagination, right?
No, people are absolutely not making it up. Energy prices have increased markedly in the last year. But even over the last couple of months, we saw that in May alone, electricity prices increased an average of 6%. And for individuals who use natural gas in their home, those price increases are even higher, around 8%.
And I know electricity is a complicated system. What are the causes, would you say, for this hike?
So there are a few different things that we could look at to kind of pinpoint where these price increases are coming from. So in this particular situation, we're seeing increases in the demand for electricity pretty much across the board. So you've had a repeal of a lot of green energy tax credits, which means that people are substituting in many cases back toward using oil and natural gas, which is increasing demand, which is pushing up the price. You also have international demand, as well as things just like it's been really hot this summer. And so just an increase in your average household demand. But then kind of the lurking variables here would be AI data centers, as well as tariffs, which also have an important role in pushing these prices up.
I want to share with you some of the comments we've gotten. Rochelle Jacoby says, my electric bill doubled this year. And yeah, I think a lot of people feel the same. And then Bethy Boo said, I keep my thermostat at the same number for the last 14 years I've lived in my house. This year has been the first time in all those years that my electric bill has exceeded $200. And it's been the last 2 months. Their rate raising has become ridiculous. What do you say to those people?
It's really a challenge, and especially one of the things that is, I think, really important in talking about energy prices specifically is that the individuals who are feeling the pinch the most are individuals who are on fixed incomes. So think your people who are on Social Security or who are on disability. But certainly, I think all of us kind of share that experience. I know that when I get the email that says your TECO bill is ready to view, I also just kind of brace myself to see exactly what the damage is going to be for that month.
And doctor, do you have any tips on people to try to lower their electric bill?
So certainly these things are really difficult. Kind of the standard recommendations would be things like, to the extent that people can stand it, increase that number on your air conditioner so that it doesn't necessarily have to work as hard. Maybe don't run your air conditioner as much if you don't absolutely have to. But this is a really difficult situation for a lot of people. The U.S. federal government spends about $4 billion annually on energy assistance, primarily for individuals of low or fixed income. And a lot of people are going to have to make some really difficult decisions about what to do with their electric bills and other costs.
Well, we appreciate you taking time to go through this because, as I mentioned to you before the show, it seems like when these rates go up, they don't really come back down. And I think that is striking fear in the heart of many of those who can't afford it either.
I think that's understandably so. And certainly we see that energy prices do fluctuate. So the fact that these prices are up now does not mean that they will be up forever. However, all of these different factors kind of pushing up the demand and then increasing the prices for electricity at once, economists and individuals who are really well integrated into that energy sector are not particularly optimistic that these prices are going to fall anytime soon. But here's hoping for a cool winter in the area.
Fingers crossed.
That's what we all want. Dr. Abigail Hall Blanco, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all your insight.
We appreciate you. Thank you very much. And coming up, we are going to keep an eye on the tracking the tropics. We're not only Erin, which isn't going to make landfall, but there's more coming up, as well as this fireball. We'll explain what you're seeing here right after the break.
Max Defender 8, the most accurate weather radar in Florida. Sponsored by ArmorView Window and Door.
Happy Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Juliana Mejia. There's a starting look right now at Max Defender 8 at quiet conditions for most of us. I am just keeping my eyes peeled. Looks like maybe some showers here, kind of rolling in along the coastal portions of Pinellas County, maybe Manatee County here, with some very, very light rain. But otherwise, most of the showers, most of the storms and good downpours here offshore, as they have been throughout most of this morning in the Gulf. Checking in with where we're at right now, temperatures versus the heat index, 88 degrees right now in downtown Tampa. Consistently for the last little while, we've been feeling about 10 degrees warmer than the true air temperature. Lakeland at 86, feeling more like 95, feeling like 100 degrees for Sebring right now on the map. Looking ahead to this afternoon, 95 in the forecast because it's going to be a particularly dry day, so we heat things up quite a bit. The record today sits at about 96 degrees, so we could come close. It's a record, though, we're not trying to break. Average for this time of year is typically about 91 degrees, so we are well above average consistently here in the forecast today, and as we have been now 4 days on end. Here's a look at future radar, picking up on the moisture in the showers there off in the Gulf. These could, as they kind of are at the moment, scrape portions of the coastline, but otherwise partly cloudy skies kind of build in temporarily here, fluctuating a little bit, maybe a few spot showers throughout the afternoon into the dinner time hours, but very, very limited at only about a 20% chance of showers and storms today. As we look ahead to tomorrow, more so tracking winds out of the west and onshore, which will give us a better chance of potentially some early morning rain, if not at the very least late morning, and taking us into the early afternoon as that moisture rolls in from the Gulf and then tracks inland as the day goes on. That's looking ahead to your Thursday as better rain chances start to return. So today only about a 20% chance of some showers and some storms, 50% chance as we look ahead to tomorrow, and we keep going up from there for your Friday and your Saturday at about a 60% chance, bringing us back more so into our normal coverage of rain and rainfall accumulations, but changing up the pattern a little bit. Here's the latest with Hurricane Erin, roughly around 360 to 70 miles to the south and southeast of Cape Hatteras in North Carolina, otherwise working its way now due north as of the latest update there from the National Hurricane Center, and going to be steadily working its way over the open waters of the Atlantic for the next few days. These two tropical waves here both have medium chances of tropical development. This easternmost wave having a better chance in the short term. But just want to show y'all the tropical wave models here, showing the good trends that we've been watching now for a couple days. But let's jump ahead to your 8-day forecast, because that is the focus for the meantime as we keep up with the heat for now. But by this weekend, it kind of backs off a little bit, about 91 degrees. So average, not below average. But
we'll average at this point, right?
Nowhere above average.
Looking to next week, we're above average again, so don't come after me. But 40% chance of rain and storm. It's going to be a little bit of fluctuations here and there throughout the rest of the week.
Don't kill the messenger is what you're saying, right?
Exactly.
I know this is a hard time of year for you with hurricanes and really hot weather and really expensive electricity bills.
Yes.
And daily thunderstorms.
Yeah, that too.
All right, check this out. Security cameras spotted the moment a fireball
I know.
lit up the sky bright green and blue. It happened in Nagasaki, Japan yesterday. You can see the meteor streaking across the sky, illuminating the entire landscape for a few seconds. Local media reported advanced equipment was able to measure a vibration in the air when the fireball was reported. Imagine seeing that thing just sitting at home. You see that in the sky.
Yeah, I would have thought something really bad happened.
Exactly.
That is
Right?
wild.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Just a fireball.
Whew.
Casual.
Okay, from fireball to pickleball.
There you
Coming
go.
up next, outrage over pickleball. Yes. You know it's catching fire. See what I did there? And there are a number of lawsuits over pickleball courts. We're going to have a live guest with us next to discuss what the heck everyone's so mad about. Keep it here.
Dude, when I was in Fort Myers, I never had the opportunity. Yes, I do. Yep. I gotcha. I gotcha.
We are talking pickleball. It's exploding in popularity, and apparently that's creating a problem. Today, Hillsborough County Commissioners are discussing a growing number of lawsuits over pickleball, mostly people, homeowners, angry about the noise. They say it's too loud.
Can get raucous.
I guess. And depending on the findings, they could place a temporary hold on permitting for any new pickleball courts within 250 feet of homes.
I got to be honest, this is kind of the first time I've actually ever seen pickleball being played. I've heard about it so much. That item is late in today's agenda, but our own pickleball enthusiast,
Yes.
Ryan Arbogast, is at the county commission meeting right now. Ryan, you love pickleball. What's everyone so upset about?
First off, I brought the props because
I
this
love it.
story is a visual. The pop, pop, pop is the concern here, right? This is
Okay.
the fastest going sport in America. It's also the loudest sport in America, at least some people say so. This is what is happening at a lot of neighborhoods. A lot of these courts are being taken over. There's no longer tennis because this is a sport that's a little bit more attractive to those in their golden years. It's a little easier to learn, easier to play, but it's really disrupting people's homes. Now, we talked to a couple of folks out in Apollo Beach in the Andalusia community, which is one of those HOA gated communities right on the water last month. And they were really frustrated because they said they had some elderly neighbors, some veterans with PTSD, folks like that just are sick and tired of hearing this day and night. And they don't feel like it should be able to be put into those homes. 10 residents have now sued the HOA, and that's what stemmed this agenda item, really. Now the county is actually talking about stopping anything from within 200 feet, aka new construction. They're hoping larger facilities can kind of be put in places where there's not homes, but they're actually talking about that right now. Two separate ordinances. One is to research those lawsuits. The District 7 commissioner brought it up, and he says there's 9 pending lawsuits across the country, not including the one here in Florida and in Hillsborough County out of Apollo Beach. California, Nevada, Phoenix, a number of different places where communities just don't want this in their backyard, essentially, and are hoping that they can move it along.
Ryan, I am so impressed with your ability.
The skill.
I love what you're doing.
To talk and do this?
Well, if you did this all day right outside my window at home, I would have a throbbing headache. I get it. Like, it's loud. I know. I just like pickleball because you call them dinks, and I just like the word dinks.
The dinks are too loud.
The dinks are too loud. That's right. So what do you think is going to happen? Do you think they're going to pass it? I mean, and 250 feet doesn't seem like very far, by the way.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm coming from Naples, which they call the pickleball capital of the world. That's where they have their biggest tournament every year. It's about 20,000 people or so. And the goal is, in that area, they try and do sound mitigation. So they'll put things up like foam along the courts. There's actually paddles that have a bit of felt in this area that can mitigate some of that sound. But again, not everybody wants to play the game a certain way. So they're hoping, at least the residents are, that these facilities are just put elsewhere. But it's still something they're working through, seeing if they have the legal basis to actually do something like this and stop those work orders or things that have already been permitted. I know that we already approved today, just a few minutes ago, the research phase of this ordinance. That was a unanimous approval to look into some of the lawsuits attached to this. Now they're talking about whether or not it's feasible to stop those permits from 250 feet. But some of the folks we talked to earlier, they say the noise isn't going to stop at 251 feet. They're looking for something even larger than that, say 600, 800, 1,000.
You know,
Haunts them in their dreams, that noise, I'm sure.
Yeah, and talking about walking and chewing gum, look at you. You can do a live shot all day
Could never
long.
be me. Could
Racket
never be
sports
me.
are my game. This and tennis I can do, but the rest of
I love it.
you don't want to see that.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're going to be our official pickleball reporter now. We are excited to see what happens with this. Thank you, Ryan
I can
Arbogast,
do it
for
without
joining
looking,
us.
you know?
I'm sure you
I
can.
can see that. Thank you guys for joining us. I'll see you back here on News Channel 8 at 4 for Stacy DeSilva. Tick, tick, tick. I'm Stacy Scheibel. Have a great day.